Second one, second part of the theorem. Case 1. If limit inferior of Sn is equal to limit superior of Sn, both are equal to plus infinity, that is limit inferior of Sn is nothing but limit of un, limit superior of Sn is nothing but limit vn, which is equal to plus infinity, by equation number 3 and 4. Let capital M greater than 0. Let capital M greater than 0. Since limit of un is equal to plus infinity, now I am going to use the definition of diverges to infinity, that is for each capital M greater than 0 there exists capital N1 such that capital N greater than capital N1 implies un is greater than capital M. Just go through the definition of diverges to infinity. Limit of Sn is equal to plus infinity. In place of Sn we have u capital N. U capital N. This implies capital N greater than capital N1 implies, from equation number 1, un is nothing but infimum of the set Sn where n greater than capital N is greater than capital M. This implies capital N greater than capital N1. So here instead of this one I can say that this implies small n greater than capital N greater than N1. So I can say that small n greater than capital N1 implies infimum of a set is greater than m. Infimum is the means all the elements of a set is greater than or equal to infimum. If infimum is greater than m, then all the elements are also greater than m. Therefore Sn greater than m. This is equation number, let us take some 10, equation number 10. Since limit of Vn is equal to plus infinity, again I am going to use the definition of diverges to infinity. Let epsilon greater than 0, then there exists capital N2 such that capital N greater than capital N2 implies Vn is greater than capital M. Vn is greater than capital M. Just I wrote the definition of diverges to infinity. This implies, what is Vn? This implies capital N greater than capital N2 implies, from equation number 2, Vn is nothing but supremum of the set Sn where n greater than capital N is greater than capital N. This implies small n is greater than capital N is greater than N2. So we will get n greater than capital N2 implies, if supremum of the set is greater than m, means there exists a term, this if supremum means this is an least upper bound. If this is the least upper bound, this one can't be an upper bound. If this one is not an upper bound, there exists a elements between these two. Therefore Sn is greater than capital M. Sn is greater than capital M. Equation number 11. Let capital N is equal to maximum of n1 comma n2. Then for small n greater than capital N implies capital N is maximum of these two. Maximum means this is either n1 or n2, whichever is maximum, then the other element will be smaller. If I take any n which is greater than the maximum, therefore it implies n is greater than n1 as well as n is greater than n2. If n is greater than both n1 and n2, then that n satisfies this one as well as this one. So in both the cases, what we are going to get? Yes, n is greater than capital M. This definitions is this one I wrote by equation number 10 and 11. Therefore, this is nothing but a definition of limit of Sn is equal to plus infinity. So in this case, what we have proved, if limit inferior and limit superior both are equal to plus infinity, then limit Sn is also equal to plus infinity. Now in this case 2, if limit inferior of Sn is equal to limit superior of Sn is equal to minus infinity. That is, what is limit inferior from equation number 3? Limit of u capital N is equal to limit of v capital N is equal to minus infinity. Here you can write by equation number 3 and 4. 3 and 4. Now let m is less than 0 because it is minus infinity. Since limit of un is equal to minus infinity, therefore I am going to use the definition of diverges to minus infinity. That is, there exists capital N1 such that capital N greater than capital N1 implies un is less than capital M. This is I wrote from the definition of diverges to minus infinity. This implies capital N greater than capital N1 implies, from equation number 1, un is nothing but infimum of the set Sn where n greater than capital M is less than. This implies small n greater than capital N and capital N greater than n1. So we will get small n greater than capital N1 implies, if infimum is less than this one, means this is the greatest lower bound. If this is the greatest lower bound, means no other element which is greater than this one is a lower bound. Therefore capital M is not a lower bound. If capital M is not a lower bound, means between these two there exist an elements of a set. Therefore what you are going to get, Sn is less than capital M. Equation number 12. Since limit of Vn is equal to minus infinity, that is, there exists capital N2 such that capital N greater than capital N2 implies Vn is less than capital M. This one I wrote from the definition of diverges to minus infinity. From equation number 2, what is Vn? Vn is nothing but the supremum of the set. This implies capital N greater than capital N2 implies supremum of the set Sn where n greater than capital N is less than this one. This implies n greater than capital N and capital N greater than n2. So n greater than capital N2 implies, if supremum is less than m, supremum says that all the elements are less than or equal to supremum, and this value is less than m, then all the elements are less than m. So we are going to get n is less than capital M. Equation number 13. Let capital N is the maximum of n1 and n2. So for small n greater than capital N, what we are going to get? Since capital N is the maximum of these two, then small n is greater than n1 as well as greater than n2. Then it satisfies both equation number 12 and 13. That is, Sn is less than capital N by 12 and 13. This is the nothing but the definition of limit Sn is equal to minus infinity. Now the case 3. Let limit inferior of Sn is equal to limit superior of Sn is equal to S. That is, limit of Un is equal to limit of Vn is equal to S from equation number 3 and 4. Let epsilon is greater than 0. Epsilon is greater than 0. Now first I am taking this one. Since limit of Vn is equal to S, that is, I am going to use the definition of convergence sequence. For each epsilon greater than 0, there exists n naught such that here I can say capital N greater than capital N naught implies modulus of Vn minus S is less than epsilon. This implies capital N greater than capital N naught implies, this one I can write as modulus of S minus Vn is less than epsilon. Distance between Vn and S or S on Vn both are same. This implies capital M greater than capital N naught implies, now I am going to remove the modulus symbol. So what you will going to get, minus epsilon less than S minus Vn. Here instead of this one, this implies capital M greater than capital N naught implies, this one I am going to remove the modulus symbol. You will get minus epsilon less than Vn minus S less than epsilon. This implies capital N greater than capital N naught implies S minus epsilon less than Vn is less than S plus epsilon. Now I am writing what is the Vn from equation number 2. So what you are going to get, this implies, we get that so here we will get capital N greater than capital N naught implies S minus epsilon is less than Vn, that is nothing but Vn is supremum of the set Sn where n greater than capital N is less than S plus epsilon. Now I am going to take right inequality. So what you will get right inequality, this implies capital N greater than capital N naught implies, this is the right inequality, supremum of the set Sn where n greater than capital N is less than S plus epsilon. This implies n is greater than capital N is greater than n naught. So here you will get n is greater than capital N naught implies supremum of a set is less than S plus epsilon. Means if supremum is less than S plus epsilon, then all the elements are also less than epsilon. So Sn is less than S plus epsilon. Sn is less than S plus epsilon. Now, since one more thing, in the case 3 we are discussing, since limit of Un is equal to yes, that is for each epsilon greater than 0 there exists a n1 such that capital N greater than capital N1 implies modulus of un minus s is less than epsilon. This implies capital N greater than capital N1 implies capital N greater than capital N1 implies this one. If I remove the modulus symbol, I will get minus epsilon less than un minus s less than epsilon. This implies capital N greater than capital N1 implies s minus epsilon less than un is less than s plus epsilon. This implies capital N greater than capital N1 implies s minus epsilon. And what is un from equation number 1 is infimum of the set Sn where n greater than capital N is less than s plus epsilon. Now I am going to take the left inequality. This implies capital N greater than capital N1 implies what you are going to get s minus epsilon is less than infimum of the set Sn where n greater than capital N. This implies what you are going to get n greater than capital N and capital N is greater than n1. So n greater than capital N1 implies if infimum of the set is greater than this one and all the elements are greater than or equal to infimum, then all the elements are greater than this one. We will get s minus epsilon is less than Sn. S minus epsilon is Sn. Therefore, now let us take this one as equation number 14 and this one as equation number 15. Let capital N is the maximum of n1 comma n2. So for small n greater than capital N implies if small n is greater than capital N is maximum of these two, then small n is greater than n1, greater than n0 as well as greater than n1. Small n is greater than n0 as well as greater than n1. If small n is greater than n0, it will satisfy this one. If small n is greater than n1, it will satisfy this one. Since small n is greater than both, therefore small n satisfy both equation number 14 and 15. We will get s minus epsilon is less than Sn. Sn is less than s plus epsilon by 14 and 15. This implies small n greater than capital N implies this one I can write as modulus of Sn minus s is less than epsilon. This is nothing but the definition of limit of Sn is equal to s. That's the proof of the theorem. If limit inferior of Sn and limit superior of Sn both are equal and both are equal to either plus infinity or minus infinity or any real number, then the limit of the sequence also equal to the same element, either plus infinity or minus infinity or a real number. Definition: a sequence of real numbers, a sequence Sn of real numbers is said to be a Cauchy sequence, is said to be a Cauchy sequence if for each epsilon greater than 0 there exists a number capital N such that small n greater than capital N implies modulus of Sn minus Sm is less than epsilon. This is the definition of a Cauchy sequence. A sequence of real numbers is said to be a Cauchy sequence if for each epsilon greater than 0 there should exist a number capital N. After capital N, if I take any two integers, any two natural numbers m and n, though difference of those terms should be less than epsilon, should be less than epsilon. Now next theorem, every convergent sequence, convergent sequences are Cauchy sequences. Means every convergent sequence is a Cauchy sequence. So proof. Let us take any sequence which is convergent and we will prove that that one is a Cauchy. So let Sn be a convergent sequence. Since it is convergent sequence, then it will converges to some real number and converges to S, let us say, that is limit of Sn is equal to S. Limit of Sn is equal to S. Since limit of Sn is equal to S, from the definition, that is for each epsilon greater than 0 there exists a capital N such that modulus of Sn minus S is less than epsilon by 2. For each epsilon greater than 0 there exists capital N such that small n greater than capital N implies modulus of Sn minus S is epsilon by 2. Since it is for each epsilon. Equation number 1. Let n comma m both are greater than capital M. Then what the equation number says, if I take any small n which is greater than capital N, then the modulus of Sn minus S is less than epsilon by 2. N is greater than capital N, m is also greater than capital N. Therefore from equation number 1 I can say that modulus of Sn minus S is less than epsilon by 2 and modulus of Sm minus S is also less than epsilon by 2. This one I wrote by equation number 1. This one let us take equation number 2. This one we will take equation number 3. Equation number 3. Now for n comma m greater than capital N, consider modulus of Sn minus Sm, which is equal to modulus of subtracting S and adding S. Now I am going to apply the triangular inequality, that is less than or equal to modulus of Sn minus S plus S minus Sm. Therefore from equation number 2 we will get this one is less than epsilon by 2. From equation number 3 this one is less than epsilon by 2 and 3. Epsilon by 2 plus epsilon by 2 is equal to epsilon. Therefore for each epsilon greater than 0 we got a capital N such that small n comma small m greater than capital N implies modulus of Sn minus Sm is less than epsilon. Therefore the sequence Sn, which we took as a convergent sequence, is a Cauchy sequence. This theorem says that every convergent sequence is a Cauchy sequence. Now the next theorem. Next theorem says that every Cauchy sequence are bounded. Cauchy sequences are bounded. Cauchy sequences are bounded. Proof. This theorem says that every Cauchy sequence is bounded. So let us take any sequence which is Cauchy and we will prove that sequence is a bounded. Let the sequence Sn be a Cauchy sequence. Let the sequence Sn be a Cauchy sequence. When I am saying this is a Cauchy sequence, means it satisfies the definition, that is, for each epsilon greater than 0, there exists a capital N such that small n comma small m greater than capital N implies modulus of Sn minus Sm is less than epsilon. The definition says that for each epsilon there exists a capital N such that after capital N, if I take any two terms, then those terms of a sequence whose difference is less than epsilon. Now in particular, modulus of Sn minus, in place of m I am going to take capital N plus 1. Why? Since if I take m is equal to capital N plus 1, here you can say equation number 1. In particular, let small m is equal to capital N plus 1. We know that capital N plus 1 is strictly greater than capital N. Therefore, equation number 1 implies that modulus of Sn minus Sn plus 1, because m is greater than n, then it satisfies is less than epsilon for small n is greater than capital N. Small n is greater than capital N. Equation number 2. Since we know that modulus of Sn minus modulus of Sn plus 1 is less than or equal to modulus of Sn minus Sn plus 1. How I wrote this one? Already we have discussed before the starting of the first unit. Since modulus of a minus modulus of b is less than or equal to modulus of a minus b. This one. Therefore, from equation number 2 and 3, from 2 and 3, we get modulus of Sn minus modulus of Sn plus 1 is less than epsilon for n greater than capital N. Now I am going to remove the modulus symbol. Minus epsilon less than modulus of Sn minus modulus of Sn plus 1 is less than epsilon for n greater than capital N. Adding this one, we will get modulus of capital N plus 1 minus epsilon less than modulus of Sn less than modulus of capital N plus 1 plus epsilon for all those n which are greater than capital N. This implies, therefore, for small n greater than capital N, what we got implies, I am going to take the right inequality, that is modulus of Sn is less than modulus of capital N plus 1 plus epsilon. This one. This is the right inequality. What this condition says, after capital N, if I take any small m, modulus of that term is less than this one. After capital N, if I take any n plus 1, n plus 2, whatever it may be, modulus of that term is less than this one. But I don't know S1, S2, S3 till S capital N. So let capital M is the maximum of the first element, modulus of S1, modulus of S2, so on till modulus of S capital N and modulus of S capital N plus 1 plus epsilon. Then if capital M is the maximum of this one, means all these elements are less than or equal to M. Therefore, modulus of S1 is less than m, modulus of S2 is less than m, modulus of Sn is also less than or equal to m, and this one is also less than or equal to m. All this term S1, S2, Sn all less than or equal to m, as well as this one is less than or equal to m, means this one is less than this one is less than or equal to m, means this one is also less than m after capital M, means all this one modulus of S1, modulus of S2, modulus of Sn after n, that is this one, are also less than capital M. So what you are going to get? Modulus of Sn is less than or equal to capital M for all n, for all n. Therefore the sequence Sn is a bounded sequence. The sequence Sn is a bounded sequence. Therefore every Cauchy sequence is a bounded sequence. Every Cauchy sequence is a bounded sequence. Now the next theorem. A sequence is a convergent sequence if and only if it is a Cauchy sequence. Proof means any sequence is a convergent if and only if it is a Cauchy. If it is a Cauchy, it will be a convergent. If it is a convergent, it should be a Cauchy. It should be a Cauchy. So first let us take a sequence is convergent and we will prove this one is a Cauchy. So let suppose that the sequence Sn be a convergent sequence. Just now we have proved that every convergent sequence is a Cauchy sequence. Here this is the proof that every convergent sequence is a Cauchy sequence. So the proof is completed here. Therefore by a known theorem, what is the known theorem I am going to write now? That every convergent sequence is a Cauchy sequence. By a known theorem that convergent sequences is a Cauchy sequence. Just now we have proved that every convergent sequence is a Cauchy sequence. Every convergent sequence is a Cauchy. Therefore the first part is completed. Therefore the sequence Sn is a Cauchy sequence. Now conversely, suppose that the sequence Sn is a Cauchy sequence and we have to prove that the sequence is a convergent. Since the sequence is a Cauchy sequence, that is for each epsilon greater than 0 there exists a capital N such that small n comma small m greater than capital N implies modulus of Sn minus Sm is less than epsilon. This implies small n comma small m greater than capital N implies, now I am going to remove this modulus symbol. I will get that minus epsilon is less than Sn minus Sm is less than epsilon. This implies n comma m greater than capital N implies Sm minus epsilon is less than Sn is less than Sm plus epsilon. Therefore I am going to take the right inequality now. Therefore for small n comma small m greater than capital N, I will get that Sn is less than Sm plus epsilon. plus epsilon. What it means? If I take any n greater than capital M, those term is less than, all those terms are less than this one. All those terms are less than this one. Means all those Sn where n is greater than capital N are less than this one. Means this one behave like an upper bound. Thus Sm plus epsilon is an upper bound for the set all those Sn where n greater than capital N. N greater than capital. This is an upper bound. This is an upper bound. Then if I take the least upper bound, this is the least upper bound, means the supremum, and this is the upper bound. The relation between least upper bound and upper bound is this one is the least among all the upper bound, means this one will be less than or equal to any other upper bound for m greater than capital M. M greater than capital M. That is, what is supremum of Sn where n greater than capital N is nothing but V capital N less than or equal to Sm plus epsilon for m greater than capital M. M greater than capital M. This implies Vn minus epsilon is less than or equal to Sm for m greater than capital M. M greater than capital M. Means after capital N, if I take any small m, all those terms are greater than or equal to this one. Means this one is an lower bound for the set. This one is the lower bound for the set. So here I can write thus Vn minus epsilon is an lower bound for the set Sm where m is greater than capital M. M is greater than capital M. Then this is a lower bound, and this is, I am going to take the greatest lower bound, nothing but the infimum. A greatest lower bound and a lower bound. A relation between lower bound and greatest lower bound is less than or equal to the greatest lower bound. This implies Vn minus epsilon is less than or equal to U capital N. U capital N. This implies Vn is less than or equal to Un plus epsilon. Un plus epsilon. Since we know that limit superior of Sn is always less than or equal to supremum of the set Sn where n greater than capital N. N greater than capital N. Already we have discussed after the definition of limit inferior and limit superior. This one is nothing but Vn. Just now we got here, let us take this one as some equation number 1. Then Vn is less than or equal to Un plus epsilon. What is Un? Un is nothing but infimum of the set Sn where n greater than capital N plus epsilon. Since we know that infimum of a set is less than or equal to limit inferior of Sn plus epsilon. Here this one and this one you can go by note points. I think note 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 is there. Therefore what we got here, limit superior of Sn is less than or equal to limit inferior of Sn plus epsilon. Since I can take epsilon is greater than 0, very small, since epsilon greater than 0 is arbitrary, I can take very small. For all the epsilon it will satisfy. This implies we will get that limit superior of Sn is less than or equal to limit inferior of Sn. Limit superior of Sn is less than or equal to limit superior of Sn. Equation number 2. Equation number 2. Since again where the node point, we know that limit inferior of Sn is less than or equal to limit superior of Sn. Equation number, let us take 3. Therefore, from equation number 2 and 3, we get equation number 2 says limit superior of Sn is less than or equal to this one, and equation number 3 says this one is less than or equal to this one. Both will be possible only if limit inferior of Sn is equal to limit superior of Sn. Limit superior of Sn. Now, yesterday's theorem second part. From the yesterday's theorem second part, we know that if these both are equal, then the limit of Sn is also equal to this both. Thus, by a known theorem, we get limit of the sequence Sn is defined and limit inferior of Sn is equal to limit Sn is equal to limit superior of Sn. Equation number 4. Today it seems we have proved this one. If these both are equal to plus infinity, then limit Sn is equal to plus infinity. If both are minus infinity, then this one is equal to minus infinity. If both are equal to yes, then this one is also equal to yes. Equation number 3. Since we know that every Cauchy sequence is bounded, since Cauchy sequence is bounded, a theorem just now we have proved before this one. Every Cauchy sequence is bounded, means the sequence cannot diverge to plus infinity, can't diverge to minus infinity. Then limit inferior of Sn is equal to limit superior of Sn can't be minus infinity, also plus infinity. You can go through the node point after the definition of limit inferior and limit superior. If a sequence is unbounded above, then the limit superior is plus infinity. If the sequence is unbounded below, then the limit inferior is minus infinity. But here, since the sequence is bounded, then neither limit inferior nor limit superior can become minus infinity or plus infinity. Then therefore limit inferior of Sn is equal to limit superior of Sn is equal to limit of Sn. Both should be equal to, all these three equal to yes. We have only three options, either minus infinity or plus infinity or yes. Since this one can't become this two, then this one can become only yes. Since this one is equal to limit Sn, then limit Sn is equal to yes. Therefore limit Sn is equal to yes. Therefore the sequence Sn is a convergent sequence. This theorem says that every convergent sequence is Cauchy and every Cauchy is convergent. Every Cauchy is convergent.